What's happening, everybody? Welcome to The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. I'm Greg LaMontagne. You'll notice I don't have Beth with me today, but I've got Krystle Kruizenga.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Jeez, I've been stressing about that.
No, you really did.
All right, good. I've got Krystle with me today, whatever it is, to talk about something completely different and kind of outside of my range of just physical fitness and different things like that. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you coming in. Literally, like, one of the things about physical fitness and health and stuff like that is I like to try and learn some new shit, but I don't really go like outside of like lifting weights and doing martial arts, which is kind of out of the way, right? But I wanted to bring you on because you have different experiences with, like, I don't want to say physical therapy or physical, like, athletic training and stuff like that, right?
I just use different modalities.
Yeah, great way to put it. That's exactly it. So, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's awesome. We're going to talk about quite a few different things today, and we'll just kind of kick it off. So, again, real quick, as we start out, go out, check us out on Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all the places, and go check all that shit out. All right, so let's get a little background on you. Okay, so what's kind of like your education, your background? How did you get into like sports training, athletic training, those sorts of things?
Okay, so I'll start when I was growing up first. Because
Cool.
I think,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it stemmed from there because I just grew up with a bunch of guys. I grew up with like a bunch of cousins, probably like eight cousins that were all guys, kind of my age, a little bit older. And I just was playing with them, whatever sports and stuff. So I just was interested. That's what piqued my interest, right?
Okay.
So in middle school, I started playing basketball. And in high school, I tried out for the basketball team, and I did not make it.
Oh,
because I didn't have much experience, so I'll say that.
That's fair.
But it was a good thing because I think it led me exactly where I needed to be. So I ended up doing, they asked me to be the manager for the team. So
cool.
I was,
That's fun.
So I was managing basketball, and then I started managing like a bunch of other teams. And then
in high school?
In high school,
oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
And then I ended up, I was still like working out with the teams and stuff, but I ended up getting injured. And we were doing like boot camp or something crazy. It was like really crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just like strained a quad or a hamstring or something like that. And so like I went to this room, and it was like athletic training room. I was like, what the heck is this? Like,
right.
So I had no idea what it was, but basically they took care of me. And then I guess, I don't know how exactly, but they asked me if I wanted to do athletic training since I was already a manager. So just on top of managing, cool. I could just also do athletic training. And so I just started learning from there. So my sophomore year in high school, that's
where it kicked off.
Yeah, that's where I started as a student athletic trainer.
High school, I don't think I was thinking about stuff like that at all. You know what I mean? I was skateboarding every day, doing snowboarding in the winters. And I lived in New Hampshire, so, but that was like my life. And I was just the work or after school and stuff like that. I wasn't thinking about it in that sense, so that's really cool. That's a cool way to kind of get introduced to it, I guess, especially at a very young age. So probably like 16 or something like that, 15, 16, something like that. So that's cool. Yeah. So you did that through high school?
Yes.
And then...
So I didn't know that I was going to do this as a living. I just was kind of mentored through like my coaches and the athletic training staff there. And they kind of led me to that path and said, well, you could choose this, because I had no idea what I was going to do. Okay. And so I was like, sure. And so, I was already there, interested in it. I liked it because I was around sports all the time, and just different sports. I did like football, soccer, softball, basketball. And so I loved like the dynamics, like the team dynamics, and just like all of it.
Okay.
And I wanted to kind of, move away from home a little bit. I liked being at school. Let's just say that.
That's
I was
cool.
just like, I enjoyed being at school. So that was just another way for me to like have an outlet, basically.
Where'd you go to school for your undergrad?
Undergrad, I went to UIW.
UIW?
Yeah, and grad school as well.
Oh, okay, so, cool. Right on.
Yeah. So
would you major in?
Athletic training.
And for both, for your undergrad and your master's?
So my bachelor's is in athletic training, and then my master's is in sports management. And I chose that. I'm going to be honest real quick. I chose that because it was easier than kinesiology, because there was like, you have to do sets and reps and you have to do all these sorts of things. And I was like, I have no idea what, like I was just like, no, this is not for
All
me.
right.
Like,
So
I
my
can't do
undergrad,
this. Yeah.
I'm going to say, like from my undergrad, I went to Arizona State and I got a communications degree, which they actually made fun of on The Simpsons. So it's totally fine. I understand that. It was like, just get the hell out of college at that
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So you've got that. You've got 6 years of experience teaching movement-based classes. Like, what is movement-based class? Like, what's a movement-based class that somebody would go take?
Really, it's just, it's okay. So I was introduced to the gym like in 2015. Sammy was
So
like,
this is submission concepts
yeah,
and
and
Y
Your
365
Fitness,
or Your
yeah,
Fitness
Your Fitness
365.
365, and
Okay.
I had already been doing athletic training for like 3 years, I believe.
Okay.
And so they asked me like randomly, because of my background, they asked me if I could teach a class that was called Floga, and it was basically like not yoga because we weren't yoga certified, but it was like movement and like stretching
Okay.
and that sort of thing. And since I had a knowledge base, they were like, yeah, you could do this. You could teach this class. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So I just started teaching there. And then I just like from there, I just began to study and practice and train. And then I just got better and better at it and kind of just put my own spin to it. And so I just use like movement and breathing. I actually got more into the breathing like the past few years, but yeah, that's basically what it is. It's movement and then breathing, and now I'm doing a little bit more like mindfulness, because it all is mindfulness, the breathing and the movement together.
Paying attention to your body.
That's
It's a
basically what it
big
is.
thing,
Yeah,
right?
it's just
So
mind
that's
body
one of the
awareness.
biggest parts of like that I want to talk to you about. And that's kind of what got me starting to think. So as one of the things that piqued my interest, and really we've known each other for probably a couple of years now through the gym, through submission concepts and doing jujitsu. And you're a purple belt in jujitsu, which is fucking pretty rad, which is, if you guys know anything about jujitsu, it's hard as shit to belt up, and it takes a long time. And it's dedication, like no shit dedication, and hours and hours and hours in the gym. So that's no small feat, right? So, but what I saw was just this videos you've been doing, like just posting to your Instagram, right? And it was one where you were doing like a cold plunge, right? And I was like, all right, I got to figure this shit out. This is a couple of weeks ago. I saw you post it, and that's really like, again, why I wanted to talk to you, because I posted a video out to YouTube yesterday. First time I ever did it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. And then like the benefits. Okay, let me backtrack. Okay. Because I saw you doing it, and I saw it was like, you're doing it for how long? Like 10 minutes and shit?
Yeah, I started doing it 10 minutes, but then I dropped it down to like 7.5.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's like, what? How cold was it? 47 or something in yours?
Yeah, the coldest that I've been in is, well, I've been in colder temperatures, like during a Whim Hoff, what is it called?
Seminar or something like that.
Seminar, yeah. And that was like 30 something degrees, but we were only in there for like maybe 5 minutes max or something like that. The only reason I dropped it down from 10 is because I wanted a little bit more time, and like 10 actually feels good to me.
Okay.
But 7.5, I just feel
like you're dialed in there.
Yeah, like I feel good, because I tried 15 minutes one time.
Dude, you got hyperthermia at that point.
Well, it was really cold afterwards. Like
your core temperatures.
Yeah.
Even me doing it for 3.5. I think it was like 4 minutes, 3.5, 4 minutes by the time I settled in. Yeah. Dude, my core was cold for a couple of hours. Really? Like my temperature was down. Yeah. Like my skin was still, even though we were out, like I told you, we were out hanging out outside. Yeah. My skin was a little cool, but my core felt cold after a few minutes. It's insane. So what got you into doing that?
That specifically, okay, so in college, that's a modality we use, so for athletic training.
So I've seen, okay, so this is going to sound stupid to me, but I've seen like, what the hell is his name? What's the comedian's name? Little short black dude. Super funny. He brings people on like on Kevin Hart. Thank you. Kevin Hart brings people in, and they're always joking and stuff like that. He's usually got like a toe in a tub, okay. And but I've seen him do those things. Like I said, it's gonna sound stupid, but you go, okay, And I've seen like athletic trainers put like football players and shit like that. But I'm
Yeah.
like, do I do anything that's like that hardcore? Where I'm beating the living shit
Yes,
out of
you
myself?
do.
Okay, so I do jujitsu, but I'm like, I normally just come home and pass out and eat food and then pass out on the couch,
Yeah.
right? And
But
that's
that's pretty intensive work.
yeah. So that again, going back, sorry, I'm trying to pull up your graphic real quick too. So
Okay.
it's just taking me a second. So when I think about it, like in those aspects, like that, watching you do that got me into it. It got me thinking about trying it, right? So you said it's the modality of doing it. Like that's part of
That's
physical
how I
therapy.
was introduced to it, like just cold therapy in general, like in
I've seen
athletic
ice packs
training.
and shit, but not like dunking your whole body into a
Yeah,
tub of ice
so
water.
there was some research that showed that after post training, like jumping in an ice bath can help with recovery. But that was recently retracted.
Okay.
So I don't know how long ago, maybe a few years, maybe longer. But now they're showing that if you are gonna do a cold therapy like an ice bath or something, that you should wait an hour after your workout.
So your body comes down a
So
bit.
that all the inflammatory responses are settled in, so that your body has all these chemical responses that are good for you, like growth hormone and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like
So you
all of
don't
that.
stop that
So
basically
yeah,
right
because
away.
you want that process to happen.
Okay. So it's like if you were to lift weights, I mean, to like I'm curling or whatever, I want to let the benefit of the
right, all
muscle.
those chemicals.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's why I can't remember where I read this study, but the study was you want to wait an hour after, or maybe I listened to it because on JRE there's this girl, this lady, Dr. Rhonda Patrick.
Okay.
I've watched like her videos a lot, like religiously and over. Like,
Okay.
but well, that was years ago, but so some of the knowledge is still in there, but
Yeah.
that's like another reason why I got into like hot and cold. So I like the sauna a lot, and I like cold therapies a lot too.
So on your days, you call them basically like your self-care days,
Yes.
your Sundays,
Yes.
which I think is awesome. I think people should really start thinking about it that like so my self-care kind of things, I don't really have it. Like I go out in the back, do yard work and shit like that. It's just
Yeah.
mindlessness kind of work.
Yeah.
It's good work. It's physical work, but that's like me. Just like I can go out back and just tinker, let the dogs run around, do whatever. Tinkering is a big deal for me, but like intentionally doing and going and being thoughtful about it is a different kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
so good.
Like I've tried meditating. It just does. I can't settle down. Like I don't stop. Like from the morning I get up, whenever I get up in the morning, to middle of the night when I go to bed. Like I'm doing something all the time.
You're just
always constant. So what made you start thinking about, okay, we'll get into the hot cold second in a second, but what made you like really start focusing? Is that something that's newer to you? Or have you been doing that for a while? Like being mindful and thoughtful and intentionally taking time to do that?
Yes. Okay. So I really started to like do deep like inner work in like 2016, I think, like the beginning of 2016, because um I'll just talk about a little bit of my
Sure.
past. I was just going down like a darker path, and I didn't really love myself, and I didn't really care. I didn't love who I was, and
Okay.
I knew that that wasn't who I was meant to be. And so I got in trouble a little bit, and so yeah. So I was just like, is this the path that I want to go down?
Mhm.
Like, is this what I want to do? Like, I could potentially ruin my entire
Everything
life.
you've worked your
Right.
ass off. Yeah.
And which I did, because it was after college and after my master's and everything. So
Yeah.
I was just like, what am I
Fucking
doing?
wake up call.
Yeah, it was totally a wake up call, and
Yeah.
I was just like, what the heck am I doing right now?
Okay.
Like, so I started crazy. I don't know how, but I know everything happens for a reason.
I
strongly believe
Beth and I
that.
always say that. Like
Yeah.
God doesn't put certain like anything really in your way except it's a challenge or whatever,
Yeah.
right? That you can't handle kind of thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So I basically started studying, because I was kind of spiritual, but I kind of tapered off of it. But somehow Buddhism was introduced. Like I don't know if someone introduced it to me or something,
Just
but
the
I remember
thought process of it.
Yes,
thing?
just being more
Mindful.
mindful and
Mhm.
doing inner work. And so like I bought a couple of books and I just studied it. Like I just was studying just the culture, like and the religion itself, or if you want to call it that. And it was just like deep inner work, and it made me really think about like me and like what I was doing with my life, but also like how I could heal myself,
Yeah, that's cool.
because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to heal because I knew I wasn't happy with who I was and I needed to change that. So how am I going to change that?
Okay.
That's basically.
So that got you, it led you into this whole space,
Yes.
right? The
Yes.
mindfulness, the thoughtfulness. So you start getting into, like you said, just the cold training, when did you get into jujitsu, by the way?
2015.
Okay. So right around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the end. It was in August of 2015, so towards the end.
Okay.
Ish.
So
But yeah.
that's really where, I don't want to say that's, but around that 15, 16 timeframes where like all of this almost kicked off, like this whole kind of new
Yeah.
opening up,
Okay.
different type of experience, right?
I mean, okay. Again, a little personal, but I was miserable.
Okay.
Like I was literally miserable. I remember spending, I think it was
Just
my
like
25th,
depressed, everything.
super depressed. Like my 25th birthday, I literally was sitting at a bar by myself. Like what? Like there's no one. Like I felt like I had no one, which wasn't the truth, but it
You
was.
do that to yourself a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Yes.
isolate yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. So I was just like super depressed. So I think that's when like Sammy, my cousin, he introduced me to jujitsu because he saw like my life was kind of like
Real out
chaotic.
of,
Yeah, and like I wasn't happy.
I didn't know he was your cousin.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yes, he's
That's
my
cool.
cousin. Yeah, he's one of the boys that was like in my life. Yeah,
I didn't
growing
know
up.
that.
What
So
in
I
the
had no
world?
idea.
That is insane. Okay. Well, yes, he's
That's
my
cool.
cousin. So he introduced me to jujitsu, and I had already, like, when I was a kid I did karate, and
Yeah.
then when I was in college I did a little bit of MMA, and I liked it, but my favorite part was the grappling part.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's exactly what he introduced me to, and I was like, I love this. Like this
cool.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So I just started. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. So, okay, so you start going through that. And now let's get into the benefits of like the hot versus cold,
Okay.
right? So I'm going to give you my experience with the cold shit,
Okay.
right? That was the first time I intentionally put my ass in a cold tub of water ever in my life. Cause I'm the dude that I'll take a hot shower during the summer, right? I don't like cold at all.
Wow.
The pool in Phoenix, we had a pool in our backyard in Phoenix. I would do this like fun little goofy thing, like the first, like in spring or in like, it would be like February, March. I'd jump in the pool, swim from one end to the other. And it would be like, it's like 65 degrees, 60-degree water. And that's the coldest. The pool's normally at like 90, which is perfect, right? So yesterday, I like I said, I posted the video on it. All of like the anxiety, I was anxious as shit getting into that thing. I was like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? Do I want it? And I got that so I bought a 20-pound bag of ice, threw that, and you're like, that's not nearly enough. And I was like, so it was cold. And then I went, there's no ice in it. It all melted. And I was like, I'm putting it on video. I was like, nobody's gonna believe this is cold water. So I went and got the rest of the ice out of my ice box, in the refrigerator or the freezer,
Prove that
dumped it
there's
in
ice
there, right? And I was like, I had the bag of ice. But yeah, so you go through like all of these different layers of like, right, you get your feet in there. All of a sudden I started shaking because it was up to like maybe my mid calf, right? And I was like, all right, settle down. Wim Hof breathing. I started with that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I did that it was like a 10-minute session before, like where you're looping your breaths. And I talk about that just real quickly while I'm in the water trying not to die. So I basically just kind of worked my way in, and I slipped at one point. I was like, well, there goes that, right? I'm in.
I saw you.
I was like, shit, right? But literally your body goes through like this change. Like I was freezing cold and then all of a sudden I wasn't. Like within 30 seconds, my hands were frozen and then they weren't.
Yeah.
Like they almost feel warm.
Yeah.
That's where like this, and you could feel, it was just the weirdest thing. And then when I was finally able to get like past my armpits and get down in, and I was like, I couldn't bring myself to get my head under yet. But Okay, so you go for that. I did like 4 minutes, got out, and it literally is exhilarating.
Yes.
Like your body is buzzing
Yes.
and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that benefit, but I haven't done the hot, like going from hot. And I know you do like sauna
Mhm.
and then that. So I've done sauna on its own, or even like, steam rooms and different things like that.
Mhm.
So what's the benefit of like doing the hot part on it?
So
And then,
there
or going back and forth, I guess, like doing
Yeah,
hot to cold.
so hot and cold is contrast therapy, and there is a big benefit doing that because when you get into the heat, you have vasodilation. So like your
So your
blood
veins.
vessel, the blood vessels like open up so that
Okay.
blood flow like increases and oxygen increases and like all these different nutrients increase, right?
Okay.
And then when you get into cold water, it's vasoconstriction. So it closes.
Okay.
And then so with vasodilation, your body wants to cool itself. So it's trying to cool, right? So your core temperature, what it's trying to do is it's trying to
So that's a
cool you down.
sweat
Yes.
response,
Yeah.
those sorts of
And
things.
then with like the cold, your body is trying to warm itself up, and so like your vital organs,
Everything goes back to your core,
yes,
right?
yeah, and then the body just tries to warm itself. So that's why there's so much like it's red, right?
Yeah,
There's just a lot of
tingly red.
yeah,
There's all sorts of sensation. It's just different.
yeah. So that mechanism itself, so like going from it's called contrast therapy, like
Mhm.
doing hot, cold. It puts you through like almost like a pumping mechanism for like the lymphatic system, which helps with
Okay.
like recovery. So if you have vasodilation, then you have vasoconstriction. It's like a pumping mechanism,
And you're
right?
just triggering those responses
Yes, you
back and
trigger
forth.
those responses, so you get like a bunch of blood flow to the area, and then you close it, and it's closed off, and then you get like a massive amount of blood flow again, and then it closes off. So
Okay.
there's just like the nutrients that come, like it's beneficial to you, right? All those chemicals and stuff are
That flow back and forth. That's an
yeah.
interest. I never thought about that. So I've never thought about that. So do people, or have you done it where you go like sauna, tub, back to sauna
Yes.
and back, or something like that?
Yeah, when especially like at one point I had access to a hot tub and a cold tub
Okay.
when I was working with a soccer team, a professional soccer team.
Yeah.
But so I would go back and forth like often. I would do contrast therapy. And normally I think I would do it like 3 or 4 times each. So I just do like a few minutes in cold, then a few minutes in hot, then a few minutes in cold, then a few minutes in hot, and then just go back and forth, and then finish in cold.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's really awesome, and it feels great too.
So yeah, I mean, again, that was the thing. Like, I wish I would have had a sauna, and I know they make those little personal ones, like to do that. I think that would have been cool. Maybe
Yeah.
that's something I can try next time. But I don't know how frequently. But I am kind of like, I think it might be like one of those things I do like once a week or something, maybe. Just
Yeah.
like, because it literally takes 3 minutes and a bag of ice,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe a couple bags of ice, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. So thank you for kind of guiding me through that. Let's talk about like the Wim Hof breathing stuff.
Okay.
I've heard of him. If you guys don't know who Wim Hof is, just Google him. He's the crazy ass dude that like will go like sleep in the snow, and then like he can do anything. He can hold his breath for 9 hours, all the crazy stuff, right? But he can literally like control his body temperature just by breathing. And it's
Yeah.
such a mental thing. The first time I tried it, I had a headache. And I told you, this is like
Yeah.
maybe 2 weeks ago. I just had like this mild headache. And it was the first day you sent it to me. And I have one of the bedrooms back here is actually my little home workout room that if I'm doing a podcast or something, I need to get a workout in real quick, I'll just jam it out. Went back there, did that 10-minute breathing session, which is interesting because it has you like, it's basically this,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And then
controlled hyperventilation.
okay, so it didn't say that. I just felt like I was hyperventilating.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That's exactly the way to put it. But then you exhale and have to hold your breath on an exhale, which I've never done in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like normally you go and hold your breath on the inhalation, and it almost feels like you're going to like I questioned, and I was laying down when I did it the first time. I was like, am I going to be able to breathe? Like, because you're like, and hold it for a minute, and then hold it for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
I couldn't make the minute and a half. There's no way. Like on an exhalation, because I've never trained myself to do that. Yesterday, I'm probably at about like a minute 15 seconds before I'm like, I'm out of breath. I have to breathe. Like just even if it's a sneak little something, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about like some of the Wim Hof, like I don't understand the method. I mean, I've watched the videos, but I don't understand like how it works from your physiology or the physical side of it.
Yeah.
Like or the benefits of it, I
I'm gonna
guess.
refer a little bit to my notes.
Yeah,
here,
absolutely. Go for it. Yeah.
But definitely, it's again, it targets the autonomic nervous system, which is like your fight or flight response, right?
Which is the pool thing that you sent me a little note on.
Yes.
You're like,
so it does the same thing.
Okay.
So all of these practices actually target the nervous system in that way, the autonomic nervous system, which is something that we apparently weren't supposed to have control of because it's
in case of you see a snake, you run.
Right. It's an
You know, it's that-
automatic response.
Yeah.
But we can take control of it.
Right.
That's the thing. Once we pass the like reptilian brain, we can control
We are
our nervous
lizard
system.
people.
We can go from a fight or flight response to a rest and
Action.
digest.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically one of the things it does. It's controlled hyperventilation. So it's telling your body and your mind, you are in control. Like you've just put yourself in a fight or flight response.
That's the hyperventilation.
Right.
That's where you see people get tunnel vision or
Yes,
whatever. Okay.
Yes, but then you come down immediately.
That's the exhale.
Yeah, and then you're holding and you're like in this like super like zen, like calm space.
All I wanted to do was breathe. I was like, can he make it? Can he make a minute and a half? I'm just waiting for Wim Hof because it's this little video. I'm like, no, just hold your breath, dude. You can do this. That's all I was. I wasn't relaxed. I was trying to relax, but I'm like, you're out of breath. I'm going to die.
Man, I get into the like zenist modes, like meditative states I've ever like. As soon as I finish a Wim Hof exercise, I can
chill.
Boom, like into a meditative state. Like
I could see that absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
tingly and stuff.
Yeah,
too?
my finger, because I was like, I'm dying. I'm out of oxygen in my body. I'm not really dying. You're not really, because you can breathe at any minute, or any second. But it's just when you force yourself. It was interesting because I really wanted to. It's training. I think it's just like with anything. It's training ourselves to be able to do something new. Like I said, I can hold my breath for a long time if I'm on an inhale. It's just complete. I've never done that in my entire life. So it was just a weird kind of, it flipped everything upside down.
I have a question though.
Okay.
When you were breathing, did you breathe from your belly or did you breathe more from your
So
chest?
I've done a lot of yoga.
Okay.
So I know like Beth.
You have?
Yeah, I've done a lot.
Oh, okay.
Beth and I used to do hot yoga all the time. And we've done lots and lots of yoga. We had membership at a yoga studio and all sorts of stuff. So I would do that and do Taekwondo and we'd mix them up. So I'm familiar with like dragon breath and different types of breathing techniques.
The breath of fire.
Yep, but I'd never done that particular type of like super fast. I mean, it's not super fast, but it's continuous.
Like,
boom, boom, boom. Yeah, right. And then, so I'm making a big deal because it's a different way to do it, but it did give you the tingles and it actually warms you up. Which is interesting.
Some people can feel like warm or cold or like
it warmed because I think it was getting a lot of oxygenating my body compared to what my normal kind of status is.
It just brings a bunch of blood flow and again like all those like nutrients like and just oxygen to your body.
Right.
And then
it's like it's like you're ODing on oxygen, which is everywhere, right? So it was really cool. So can you tell me a little bit more about the Wim Hof stuff?
Yeah.
Like what else? So are there other breathing techniques like that you do? Or is that kind of like the main type of?
So like Wim Hof is actually a version of, it's called Tumo. And Tumo is like, I think it's a Buddhist or a monk's breathing technique. So it's like this ancient practice.
Oh, okay.
And like in Tumo, there's like visualization, like you basically like visualize like fire, like in the base of your spine and then just growing and growing and growing. But Wim Hof just didn't want to do like the religious. He just was like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the technique and make it like non-religious so that it's available to everybody.
Okay.
So that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because he saw the benefits. I mean, I don't know if you heard, like he talks about it in his book, but he was basically injected, and other people too were injected with E. coli. He did the techniques I think it was, I don't know if it was
I
just the
have not heard
breathing
this
or
yet.
the breathing and the ice. I can't remember, but they ridded the E. coli. Like it just like
How?
with the breathing, with it would just like sent a bunch of like oxygen and nutrients to like combat the E. coli.
Illness in his body or
Yeah,
with
it
that
just fought
bacteria.
it. So I'll use this like when I feel like okay, I'm going in a slump or something.
Like you got a cold coming on or
Yeah, or
something
something.
like
Yeah,
that.
I recently I've been using it a lot too. Just
That's a really cool idea because,
yeah,
like, especially with all the bullshit pandemic and all the stuff, and
yeah,
everybody's stressed out. Well, that's another really big side benefit for this.
right.
But just like physical fitness, right, is not just like going out and training. It's also like, you know, eating the right way, doing different things, trying like breathing techniques or, those. That's interesting. I never heard of that. That's really cool. Like,
Crazy.
because you think like, okay, take vitamin D or like vitamin E or take your multivitamins and do all these sorts of things. But okay, how about just breathing?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a weird kind of,
It's the
it'd be,
life force, dude.
isn't that crazy?
Breath.
I had
It's
no idea.
crazy.
I'm going to definitely look that up and
Yeah,
watch or check that. I'm
yeah,
sure there's a YouTube about it somewhere or
yeah.
something like that, right?
It's crazy. Yeah.
So with a lot of this, the work that you do, just from, and I'm saying like the studies you've done, like practices and your training and
Mhm.
all of that, like how is at the beginning or earlier we were talking about like when you were 25, you're in a different place, right? How is a lot of this kind of transpired into like having a happier, healthier life for you?
I mean,
It's kind of hard to say in a
yeah.
nutshell, but
So I mean,
how do you use it? How do you apply this to make yourself have a happier, healthier life?
so with everything, there's ups and downs, there's highs, there's
Mhm.
lows, but like lately I've been feeling more on the highs side, like because I've been more dedicated to my practice.
Okay.
And I think it's really helped me just mentally, emotionally, physically, obviously, in so many ways. Just become more aware of like myself in the moment, like in the here and now.
Okay.
Because I think that's the biggest thing is like
Being
sometimes,
present.
right, exactly. And that's why I say in my posts, I'm always like, thank you for being present, not with me, just being present.
Yeah.
Because just having that presence like helps people just not worry about the future, not worry about the past,
Mhm.
like kind of get because everybody gets lost in all these thoughts and then we cause ourselves stress because we're thinking about what about this, what about that, or what if
Things
this
that are
or
out of
what
your
if that.
control in a lot of
Right.
cases,
We
right?
have no control over that. We
Right.
literally only have control of right now.
Right.
So let's just
You can
be
plan for
here.
the future, but you can't really control the future.
Right.
Exactly.
So like even when like little things come up that could potentially like bring me down, I've learned how to come back quicker.
Okay.
And or not even be affected by it, like really just kind of be present and say
Accept it, move on.
accept it, yeah, and just like flow basically, kind of like jujitsu, like when you're
Yeah,
flowing in flow state, it's just like a whole nother thing, dude. I mean, I love it.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool. So if you were to kind of like share, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Couple
Okay.
things, like 2 tips for people that just can, like, if you're going from like, okay, I work out a few times a week, but I'm just going to the gym, kind of like they're in a routine.
Mhm.
Sometimes we need to break routines, right? That's why like I'll try a tournament. So I'm going to be doing my second tournament in a couple weeks, right? Doing those sorts of things. It changes the dynamic of just going to jujitsu.
Mhm.
It makes me step it up. So
Yeah.
if you were to say to somebody that's just kind of on a routine of working out, like what are a couple things that they could do to try and maybe shift out of a routine to something a little bit different? Like, is it breathing? Is it trying ropes, the crazy ass rope things?
Anything like
Like, what do you think?
okay, literally anything
That are
because
easy, even just like the simplest things.
yeah, okay, so anything that is new to you, like a cold shower is a really good
I
way.
started doing that
Yeah.
leading up to that thing.
Yeah, so cold showers is, I mean, it'll stimulate a bunch of like it sends you a bunch of happy hormones and stuff. That's what most of these things do is they send all those happy hormones. But a cold shower, definitely breathing, some type of breathing practice.
And we'll post
Um
something out that between you and I, we'll post out some breathing practices. The Wim Hof one, I'll share that out as well. You definitely share it out on your channels.
Yeah.
And I'll share it out.
I use a lot of so like recently, or was it yesterday or the day before, I did the breathing exercises with the kids, and I taught them
at the school. That was cool.
Basically, like I taught them, it's called box breathing, which the Navy SEALs use to keep them focused and calm in tense situations. So I taught them that one. And then I taught them.
We'll have to come back and revisit that one.
Yeah. And then I also taught them the 4-7-8. So that's basically one for like deep relaxation. And it helps with like sleep.
4-7-8.
For people with, yes.
Okay.
With people with like insomnia and stuff, like this is beneficial.
That's me. Like I don't sleep.
Really?
Yeah, I have a hard time
that
going
would
to
be
sleep.
a really good one for you. It's really simple. Just real quick. It's
go for it.
4 seconds inhale, 7 seconds hold, and then 8 seconds exhale. And you just repeat that like at least 10 times. 10 is a good number, but they saw benefits with 3 rounds.
The kids?
Yes.
Really?
I could
Did that calm them or something?
Yes, I could literally feel it. It was crazy. I was just like
their energy level just changed?
Yeah, like I felt like bliss, which was crazy because I wasn't even doing it. So I was
like they just changed their mentality, like everything just shifted.
Yes.
That's really cool.
I had a kid who was like, "Can I stay again?" Like to do it again with the next round.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, of course." But I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
crazy.
So we'll have to, So again, this isn't going to be the last time we're going to talk by any means. This is only the first. And that's why during this show, I went into a little bit of your background, a lot more of that to introduce you to, or introduce you to everybody else. Right. Because that's one of the things. And then, I have questions. There's a lot more questions that I have, and we could talk for a long time, but some of the books you brought, what can you recommend as far as some of the books?
I just brought a few breathing books here. The first one that I read was The Oxygen Advantage, and I wanted to go over some of this, but we can go over it next time.
Give a high level on it real quick.
It's basically like using breath holds. They talk about breath holds and nasal breathing, and basically like doing like elevation training. You don't need elevation or altitude training. You can actually just hold your breath and like basically do the same thing as you would in
Really?
Yes.
So is that where you see those people wearing those crazy ass masks?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about that, but
you know what I'm saying? Like those ones that are supposed to restrict your breathing?
Yeah.
I don't know if those are good for you or not.
I don't either. I haven't really done any studying on
I'm not
that.
talking about the pandemic masks.
No,
I'm talking about the ones that are for working out.
Like freaking Darth Vader ones.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but literally just like doing like a brisk walk and holding your doing breath holds, or higher intensity in breath holding, and then, like just using breath holds as a way to train yourself to basically do more with less oxygen, which is wonderful for the body because oxygen causes a lot of like free radical damage to our cells.
Okay.
So being able to use less oxygen is actually really beneficial to us.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, guys, that's why we're going to keep talking. We could go on for a long time. What else you got there? You got breathe.
Yeah, I got breath.
Or breath.
Yeah, this one's really good. He talks about just a whole bunch of different, not just breath, like how closing your mouth, like breathing through your nose again, how chewing food or chewing just chewing in general is like really good for your health.
Really?
Yeah.
So I like to eat. So
I need to and then just his story and like about how he did like this study where he breathed through his mouth for like 10 days and how detrimental it was.
Well, I was going to say, don't you get like, there could be all sorts of bad things.
So bad, like sleep apnea, like all sorts of like bad things. His
like
blood pressure went
bad
up,
sinus, like people that have blocked sinuses or deviated septums can have issues, all sorts of stuff.
There's a lot of good. He goes through some studies and stuff too, and there's a lot of good information in this book.
Nice, cool. And we'll post these books out.
Yeah.
We'll add some links to them.
But it's not all breath, but it's a lot about breath. And at the end of the book, it has a bunch of breathing techniques, which is why I reference this one a lot because it has a bunch of breathing techniques in the back, so I like to use it as a reference. And then Wim Hof, so basically it's his story. And
show that picture again. This is the crazy Iceman dude. That if you haven't, it's easy to find this guy. I remember seeing him on like the Discovery Channel like 20 years ago or something like that. And he was like, the crazy man that can dunk himself in ice and then goes running in the snow for 12 hours. I don't understand it. So, all right. So at the end of the shows, we like to, on the bar is open, we always do a feel good. So a feel good can be anything. like just something cool for you of the day. So like my feel good of the day is having you on for the first time. Thank you so much. So what's your feel good for the day?
Honestly, my feel good is the same. Like for you having me here with you and for us like being able to share this information
It's cool.
to a wider
I
audience.
appreciate you coming
Yeah.
on. Thank you so much.
Yes,
So
sir. Thank
where
you.
can people find you as well? I've had your
So
card up on this on the screen. You can't see it over there, but it's gonna be
okay.
on. It'll be on the YouTube
Okay.
video when we push this out.
Right now I am just on Instagram.
Okay.
At Kruizen Chris, so Kruizen and then Chris Krys, and then also at Mind Body Development.
Nice.
So, and then you can also find me at Your Fitness 365 because I teach classes now.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are ever in the San Antonio area, you can look me up or Krystle up, and we can kind of come in, do a class, do some free shit. There's jujitsu you can try it out for the first time, whatever. There's a lot of the gym. I mean, between just the gym and submission concepts, there's tons of different things you can try out. All the like your new yoga class. What is that?
No, but I am getting my
There's
yoga teacher's training.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to mention that. So you're going through a 500-hour.
Yes.
That's insane.
And it's so in depth. It's crazy. I never knew there was.
How far are you into it?
Oh, very beginning.
Okay.
Like,
But it's another thing. It's kind of like one of those things. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a master's degree in yoga.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
exactly.
So good
But
luck with that.
Thank
So
you.
we will have you back on. We'll kind of get these scheduled up, and
Okay.
we'll just do different things. So in the future ones, we'll plan out like we do a whole one on breathing, or we do a whole one on whatever you want to bring in.
Okay.
But I'm so happy that you came. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Everybody go check out Krystle's pages. I'll post them in the links as well. There's all sorts of stuff. If you guys have, or you're interested in stuff like that, in any sort of thing like that, ping me, and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Catch y'all later. Take care.